Communication training with Dan O'Connor.
Hi everybody, it's Dan O'Connor with DanO'ConnorTraining.com, and your body language tip for the week is this. Take up space and use territorial markers. Here's what I mean by that. Remember that from the moment we are born, our brain is hardwired to correctly recognize and interpret signals that we give off. Most of the signals we give off we call body language signals, but some of them are simply called visual cues. Things that we might not be doing with our body, per se, but we're sending off visual communication signals. And from the moment we're born, we don't need to be taught to recognize and interpret things correctly. It's hardwired in our brain. So if you were, for example, excluded from seeing other human beings interact with one another from birth, and then all of a sudden at 20 years old you started to see people communicate, or someone communicated with you, you would be able to properly and accurately interpret body language signals, because it's something our brain knows how to do. We don't need to learn how to do it. And most of the judgments that we make about other people are made subconsciously, at least the accurate judgments that we make. Now, I know that sometimes we'll meet people and we'll think, I have a bad feeling about you, but I'm going to give you a chance. And we give people a chance, and sooner or later, whatever that feeling that we had about them, we realize, I should have gone with my gut because I was right. It's because, again, we might not be able to pinpoint why, but our brain can look at things that people are doing or saying, the signals that they're giving off, and interpret those signals much more accurately than we can make conscious judgments about other people. Having said that, when you're coming into a professional environment, of course, we want to be seen as someone who is competent, powerful, who believes that we are a player in this organization and we have the right to be in the seat in which we're currently sitting. We want to portray the image of someone who belongs, right? One of the things that people do who believe that they belong wherever it is that they are is they take up space. They're not afraid to take up space, and they use territorial markers, meaning we've all seen people come into meetings or come into a job interview, or maybe you've done this, and the person comes in and they sit down in their chair and they take maybe the briefcase that they have or the extra things and they put them under their chair and they put something right in front of them on the table in a neat little pile, and then they sit with their hands in their lap like this. This is also, by the way, if you are a man looking to date. People write me all the time saying, hey, what are some things that I can do when I talk to girls for the first time? Before you talk to girls, remember, you want to be seen as someone who is confident and who believes that they belong wherever it is they are. And territorial markers and taking up space is something that people naturally do when you feel as though you belong. So if you come into a meeting and you do what I just described, and you put your things down neatly in front of you, or you come in to a social event, and you sit down and you don't take up much space, and you sit with your legs together, and you put your drink right in front of you on the table, or you hold it in your hands instead of putting it down someplace, or you're afraid, for example, to go up to an empty space and put your drink down, you'd rather just stand there and hold it, you will send the message, even I don't believe I belong here, so why would you? You know what I mean? However, we've also seen people come into meetings or come into social events, and without being obnoxious, because we can all read where the line is between being confident and being arrogant or obnoxious. But when you come into an event, whether it's a professional event or a personal event, and you take your chair out and you slide it back from where it is so that you have enough space to comfortably cross your leg. Now, of course, men and women cross their leg in a different manner. We'll talk about that in a different video. And you put your things down on the table in front of you without worrying about, oh, am I taking up space? But you set them down as you would in your own home. You take your stuff out and you maybe put it on the floor next to you, or you hang it at the back of your chair. But could you imagine, and I like to use this as a reference, let's say you're coming into your home after a hard or a long day's work, and you have someone with you, and you were to sit down and talk to that person. In your own home, would you sit down and place the things that you have with you in a neat little pile on the table, trying not to disrupt anybody or cause a fuss, and then put the things under your chair that you might be carrying and sit with your hands clasped in your lap like this? Unless you believe that you don't belong in your own home, you would not do that, because we only do that when we feel as though we don't belong and we don't want to cause a fuss. Do not do that. And really, there is almost no environment in which that would be deemed appropriate communication. because it's simply going to send off messages. I'm not confident, I'm not competent, I'm not powerful, I feel as though I don't belong, I'm not a player here. So why would anybody else ascribe powerful communication labels to you when you're not ascribing them to yourself? Now that's talking about taking up space. One way to do it is physically. You sit down, move your chair back a little bit, cross your leg in a decent way, put some things down that you're carrying. But remember that also one of the things you can do is bring with you things such as a notebook, a yellow legal pad, a pen, a professional writing instrument, not a big pen, not any electronic gadgets, but the items that I just mentioned. You might want to, instead of keeping them in your briefcase, plunk them down on the table. When you are going to, if you're in a social event and you want to go talk to somebody, take your drink and put it on the table in front of them and take your hand away from it. When you do things such as the things I just described, what you're doing is you're setting things down in an environment which sends the signal, I belong here, and I'm marking my territory. Those things that you have, you